Welcome to the Meditation Moment. I'm Stephen Seifert. I'm here at the Heritage Family Farms in Franklin, Kentucky. It is my father-in-law's cattle farm, and behind me we have a small portion of his herd of cattle. And as I was looking out the window a couple minutes ago and looking at him, my mind fell upon a particular verse in Scripture. It's Galatians 6:7, where the Apostle Paul says, be not deceived, God is not mocked, for whosoever shall a man soweth, that shall he also reap. Those who sow to the flesh shall of the flesh reap corruption, but those that sow of the Spirit shall reap life everlasting. Now, the whole context of those two verses in the grander chapter, the whole topic is based on restoring believers who have fallen into sin. So that's the greater context. But that passage deals with a greater law that is applicable to every form of life, in every area of life. Galatians 6, 7, and 8 is what we call the sowing and reaping principle, the law of sowing and reaping. And the context and the meaning of it is this: whatsoever you sow, that what you're also going to reap. And it makes that statement just after it says, don't be deceived, for God is not mocked. Because what you do will reap consequences. God, his arm is not slackened to what we do, and he will always execute judgment, whether judgment in the positive, which are called rewards for actions, or in the negative in the form of punishment. And that word mocked in that verse, God is not mocked, actually means moved at. So you can read that verse, be not deceived, God is not moved at. If you've spent any time around the critters that are like the ones that are right behind me, cows, then you'll notice that at any moment they can just decide to lower their head or raise their head and bellow out a very loud moo, and they will lift their heads heavenward as they do it. There's nothing wrong in them doing it. That's the way God created them. However, the principle there is this: just as a cow will lift their heads towards heaven to moo, many times God's creation, human beings, lifts their heads against him, not in humility but in pride, which is why in the Bible over and over again the Bible equates humility with lowering of the head. The publican in Jesus' parable would not lift up his head to heaven, but rather beat his chest and yelled, have mercy upon me, O God, a sinner. And so when the Apostle Paul says, be not deceived, God is not moved at, what he's saying is this: we as God's creation cannot lift our heads against God in pride and sow to our flesh and get away with it. What we do in pride, God will reward due to our actions. So think on these things today. When you live on your daily life, do you live in such a way that you pridefully lift your head toward heaven and bring shame against the Lord? If so, then just understand that will bring a punishment. But if you in humility lower your head and ask for his forgiveness, then he will likewise show great mercy.